Hi, it's Ruth from Bit One Dog Training, and I have got here with me.
I'm Dan. I'm from Croydon Companion Dog Club.
Thank you. We're very privileged to have you today.
Thank you for having us.
That's all right.
I
So,
apologise now. We have
oh,
a
go on.
child in the background. It's
Kids
a real
being
life
kids.
podcast.
Real and raw.
Real raw.
Real and raw. So we have decided to do a chat today about dogs and dogs playing with other dogs and why we might not necessarily always be an advocate for that. Um, this came about from a bit of an interesting story where Dan was on holiday recently in the lovely Dorset. And he just had a bit of an encounter, which I'll let him elaborate on, but it just got us talking about how behaviors are reinforced and worsened by allowing behaviors to continuously repeat or allowing dogs to continuously repeat actions. And it just got us chatting, and we was like, hang on a minute, let's get
Let's
get
record
this
it.
on, let's get this recorded because it's quite an interesting conversation. So Dan, I'll let you start with that
No
incident
worries.
and kind of like your take on it. And yeah,
Cool. So I'll try and keep it short. So on holiday, stand at the caravan park. Dogs had to be on lead. Um, they had like an enclosed field where you could take the dog and let it off. So I've took my newest dog, Lady, who's a 9-month-old cocker. I've done lots and lots of work with her already. Um, Walking up and out of one of the camping pods by this enclosed field, this great big poodle cross came charging at us and went to basically bite her backside. Um, I called out to the owners, "Can you get your dog back, please?" They sort of said, "Oh, he's never done that before." I managed to get Lady into the secure field. We just started playing. I was with my eldest son. Started playing ball. My son said, "Dad, she's letting the dog in." And I turned around, and lo and behold, she'd opened the gate, and this great big poodle was charging at Lady again. Um, the words that came out of my mouth at that point weren't particularly as polite as "Can you get your dog back?" Um, I managed to pick Lady up, and of course, the dog was then jumping up at me, trying to bite Lady's backside. I got told that my problem was that I don't allow my dog to interact and that her dog will be all right. Um, and then, yeah,
after it
you know,
bites you go. Yeah.
after it bites my dog
Okay, cool.
twice.
Just needs to get the
Um,
biting out of the way.
yeah, just
Then it'll
get
be
that done,
fine.
and then it'll be all right. That's how I met my wife. I bit her the first time I met her, and everything's all right now. um, so yeah, I just went out the field and walked back to the caravan, and reported it to the park warden. But
Just
yeah,
interrupting
it
her.
was frustrating. That is a beautiful cat.
She's the stone in my shoe, Dan. I tell you. She's the stone in my shoe. She is gorgeous. She's from Battersea herself.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She is.
Really
But she's
beautiful.
I always say I could have five of my dog, no matter how big she is. The worst thing I'd have to do is step over her. I couldn't have two of her. I couldn't have two of her. Like she's only here because she heard you speaking. That's why
Oh, bless her.
she's come in. She's like, I must interrupt. But yeah, so just from a training perspective, where do you think that generalizing, this is obviously, where do you think that behavior is coming from, and what do you think is perpetuating that behavior within that dog and that family, that unit? And then what I just think it could be really good educational wise. What was the body language or the actions of that dog that led you to believe I need to step in right now for my dog? And where do you think that could have gone? This is a lot of questions, sorry, but I just think it's
That's
so
right.
interesting. It's telling a story of what could
Yeah,
be,
yeah,
of
yeah.
what is and what could be. Where do you think that could have gone for your dog if that's something that you allowed to happen once or 10 times? Because sometimes once can be enough to just have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
horrible situation. And can I ask where is it? Was this a puppy when you got her? Was she a rescue, older puppy? What
So
buyer?
she was 9 months when I took her. She came from a client
Okay.
who was going through a really, really sad
Oh, bless you.
time within the
Yeah.
family. Didn't feel that they could manage her or give her what she needed. I lost my staffy just before
Yeah.
December. Um, and it was a bit of a I'll foster her, I'll look for a new home for her. If it works out, it works out. I didn't particularly want a dog after losing the Staffy, and thankfully it worked out. So yeah, we have her now. Um, Nervous of other dogs,
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
I mean,
particularly dogs like that.
yeah,
So
there you go. Yeah. So well
that
done
was
for
one of
stepping
the
in.
reasons I was so cross. But I think for me, the dog had just learned if I do this, that thing will go away.
Oh, so you feel like it wasn't that the dog was trying to interact, as the owner said, the dog was trying to get rid of you.
No, yeah,
Okay.
this is my space.
Yeah.
Go away.
Okay. So it'd be
Um,
interesting if you could touch on that a little bit in terms of the dog's learn this. Do you know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
yeah, go for it. Yeah.
So I mean, I very much got the impression, and I kind of wish that I'd seen the dog before it came charging at us because I'd love to have known if what in my head I have a picture of what I think happened before I saw the dog run into us, but I'd love to have kind of affirmed that. By the time I'd seen it, it was already running at us and relatively
Mm.
close to us, barking. Um, and I think, the owners just sat there. They sat there around the picnic table. It's all right. He's friendly. He's never done that before. Um, I don't think the dog had any real understanding that not only was it not meant to do that and that it probably shouldn't do that, but also that the owners were just going to let it do that and it could get away with doing what it wanted to do.
I guess in that
Um,
dog's life, it was meant to do that. In your
yeah,
in your world with this dog, this spaniel, nervous of other dogs, in training, in a secure field, we understand from a rational perspective what is going on, and what is appropriate socially and what is not socially appropriate. Like it's in that dog's mind, this was what it was supposed to do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm gonna see them off because I
yeah,
know my owners won't do anything about it. And it kind of always makes me feel sorry for the dog
yeah.
because when I saw that dog running and going, that wasn't a happy dog. He wasn't necessarily
Hmm.
doing it because he was happy. If anything, he was probably doing it because my presence and Lady's presence of being near the family, the hut, the field was a stressful experience for him. So
Yes.
the only way he knew how to
Important.
do it
Yeah.
was to go woo, 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 woo. And that probably stemmed from very, very young. He probably barked at a dog. The owners probably went, "Oh, it's all right. You don't need to be scared." And of course, he was then like, "Well, that worked. That dog disappeared. I'm going to do that again."
Hmm.
I said to the owners, I don't think that is he's not never done that before. I think there's probably been numerous times he's done that before.
No, it sounds like he came in with purpose. It wasn't experimental. That dog
No, it
came
was a very
in
confident way of doing it.
exactly. Yeah. So that's
And
rehearsed.
even when he got to us and he stopped, there was very quick, the very subtle body language
Hmm.
that made me then react and go, "You need to get your dog before I get your dog."
Are you able
I've
to
been known on
recall?
consults to pick dogs up before that have come running
Yeah.
over to dogs that I'm working with and hand them back to the owner.
Yeah.
And go, look, if you can't control your dog, there's your dog.
Yeah. Here you
Put it
go.
on the lead.
Yeah.
Um, because for me, I will do anything I can to protect my dog
And
or the
that's the
dogs that I'm
absolute
working with.
priority. Do you,
But there was real small, subtle signs, and
yeah.
I don't want to do anything to a dog. I'm a dog lover. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing the job that I do. But I don't want to shout at a dog, but I had to shout at the dog to make the dog go, "Whoa, hang on a minute, what
Yeah.
was that?"
Stopped it in its tracks.
It gave me
Yeah.
that moment to
Gave it a
then react
moment.
and
Hmm.
sort out my dog and
Hmm.
make sure my dog was going to be safe
Yeah.
before anything else happened. And yeah, so being able to read the subtle signs, I think, is really important.
Do you have just off the top of your head, you might not, but is there any little bits of body language that you saw that you could share? Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
so
Yeah.
he stopped and then the whole body went like a rigid. It's the best way of describing it. There was no looseness in the body. There was no um, there was no relaxedness about it. It was just very rigid, very stiff.
Yeah.
Almost looked like a dog with arthritis.
Yeah.
You
I get
know,
that.
the way he was approaching was very stiff. The way he was walking was very rigid. He was not so bothered about me, but he was almost locked on looking at Lady. There was no kind of anything going on behind.
Yeah.
It was just
Tunnel visioned.
uh, complete tunnel vision. Um, so yeah, they were the probably two most noticeable ones that I was able to look at and go, this isn't going to
It's
end
not,
well.
yeah. And then I'm not sure, because we haven't really touched on Lady so much, but was there any, if any, body language from Lady
So
that told you she
Pretty
wasn't happy?
Lady was pretty good and is starting to get. I've only had her since February, but she's starting to understand Dad will deal with a situation.
Yeah,
So she automatically kind of went behind my legs, which you could say she was trying to get away, she was avoiding, which she probably was.
yeah,
But you know, I feel assured that her safe space was behind Dad's.
yeah,
Um, Tail went tucked behind her under her stomach, and just general avoidance from her, really.
yeah.
I think probably had she been off lead, she would have been ending up swimming in the Devon Sea somewhere.
She's like
Um,
running away,
so yeah, I think she probably would have ran at that point.
which is really
Um,
sad.
so, unfortunately, that could have set her back all the way to the beginning.
Yeah,
Thankfully, touch wood, it hasn't.
yeah,
Um, but that could have had a massive impact on the months of work that I've been working. And we've got friends who are trainers who have cockers who bless them right at the beginning because my other cocker, my older cocker, is more like a cavalier. She's so chilled out, so relaxed. I've worked with cockers in rescue for years. But when you just want that assurance to go, I'm doing the right thing, everything I'm doing is right. But I'd like to speak to someone who has these breeds, works with these breeds every day, just to make sure I'm doing it right. Is there anything else I can add in? Um, and they've been great in kind of supporting me and helping me talk through that. So all of that work, all of those conversations, all of the time that I've put in could have in a split second been thrown right out the window because of
yeah.
one
If it was someone that
visit.
wasn't skilled, definitely. This could have been, if say for example, because this happens often, I say this could have been, this is every day customers
Yeah,
that we're
yeah,
working with who are looking for help but are not able to rationally put everything we say immediately into practice because it takes
no,
practice. It doesn't happen
yeah,
by
yeah,
accident. So this and that owner, so that person who's not a dog trainer, who's only just started working with us or their dog trainer, that could really throw someone out of whack.
yeah.
And all
That could have been
because,
an owner with their first time puppy.
yeah,
Never had a dog before in their life.
yeah.
And that's what I find sad is what is the impact on that dog and even
Absolutely.
that owner.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, because I briefly mentioned earlier on that I was just walking my dog for a morning walk, and there is a lady that I've known, oh gosh, since I was about 18, so nearly 20 years I've known her, and she's always had dogs, but is scared of dogs.
Yeah.
This to some people doesn't make sense, but to me it does make sense because she knows her dog. And there's a lot of propaganda in the news, or there's a lot of people that
Hmm.
don't respect other people's right to have a safe life. Like, for example, this person with the poodle owner, there was a complete lack of respect there, lack of respect for people's space and dog space. You have so much people like that. You have a lot of it in this area where people will just have their dogs off the lead and they'll run up to people and jump on people or nip. There's a chihuahua that lives in a estate that is always off the lead, and this dog bites people, bites dogs, runs after people, runs after children, and he tells off the people. Oh, you shouldn't run. Oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, or it's your problem. You're the only one that's moaning when actually like everyone's moaning. But yeah, anyway, so it's like if I like, for example, her, she's very confident with her own dogs, but when other dogs are around, she just doesn't want to be next to them. So she's happy to stand
Mm.
there chatting to me, and her daughter goes, "Oh, mum, just stroke her." And she's like, "No, sorry." And I'm like, "No, no, don't stroke her. It's fine. Like you
No,
don't.
yeah,
It's fine. You don't have to force yourself to be confident with my dog because
no,
that's,
yeah,
that's not your responsibility.
yeah,
It's not.
absolutely.
It's not your responsibility. But so, for example, if we take her, a very real human being with very real fears of other dogs, but owns a dog, takes herself to a secure field where she can feel safe with her dog,
Mm.
and then that happened, that could have been really quite something
Yeah,
bad. It could have
yeah,
been,
hugely bad.
yeah, it could have
For
been
her dogs,
yeah,
I know
her dog
people
and
who,
her.
yeah, I know people who have owned dogs all their life, but they won't go and get another dog because they're terrified of walking it for situations like dogs coming running up. They don't
Yeah,
want that. They just want to go out with their dog and have fun with their dog. And because of other people and the way that their way of thinking around kind of dog culture is, these people that, some of them work in rescue, some of them have been dog trainers previously, they won't go and get a dog now. And I find it mind blowing that, understandably mind blowing, but I find it mind blowing that one person's kind of inconsiderate behavior can have such a huge impact
yeah, on
on
someone's
another
life
person's
choices.
life.
Yeah, their whole life
Like,
choices.
yeah, like it's
Yeah,
not even like whether they're going to the shop to buy a chocolate bar and they can't figure out which one because someone had, I don't know, an off milk Mars bar the other
yeah,
day. It's a life choice.
yeah.
That
I
has
can, yeah, I can agree. I can confidently say that now where I live, if I still live here when it's time for me to want another dog, I wouldn't get one.
no,
It's too much. It's too much hassle.
yeah,
It's almost a daily issue.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and in this area, I don't see myself getting another dog.
and
Um,
that's so sad.
it's sad, and that will dictate my like, living. I will move. I will move.
But I mean, how mad is that?
Yeah,
That because of that area you live in, and because you have irresponsible, inconsiderate dog owners, like again, we go back to a life choice.
it's a
Because you
whole
want a
life
dog,
choice.
you would have to literally uproot your
Yeah,
whole home and move it somewhere,
yeah, and I
and
would.
it's crazy,
Yeah,
and it makes me sad that people are making other people feel like that,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
During
I,
COVID, there was that whole thing, wasn't there, of just be kind.
yeah,
What
consider it.
what happened to that?
Oh, I miss the COVID days where people would cross the road from me. I miss
Uh-huh.
it. I miss how people would cross the road. Uh, but yeah, no, it is. I think body language is terribly missed. It's terribly missed with owners. And I think if people play, and it goes both ways in terms of your dog being the person that is aggressive, or the dog, sorry, that is aggressing, or just being over the top, overzealous. And then the other side of it is owners missing body language from their dogs where they're so nervous. The dog is really nervous, but they're not seeing that nervous, the signs of nervousness, the signs that dog begging their owner, stop this from happening. They're just kind of just not seeing it and not identifying it. And it really does make the world of difference to how your dog will act in the future. So by body language, I'm talking about like when there's the, like nervous signs where the dog's cowering, that dog's not really engaging in the play. So maybe
Uh-huh.
that dog is just being the dog that's being chased and not
Yeah.
being the dog doing chasing, the dog that's getting pinned and not doing the pinning, the dog that's running behind you and hiding behind you or staying with you and like away, trying to get away from that dog. All these things are, and I'm sure there's so much more signs as well. All these things are such a clear sign of your dog not being happy. Your dog is screaming, I do not like this. And we're not, well, owners are not seeing it and they're not acting on it and they're not defending their dog spaces, which then turns into the dog that you encountered.
Mm, yeah, absolutely.
And it's just such a it's so okay to say no, thank you. Just no, thank you. Just
Yeah,
when your dog's running,
yeah,
when someone's dog is, and most of the time, people will be polite and responsive to that.
yeah.
Most of the
No,
time, they will. Like I have that.
and
Yeah,
I think I said to you while we were away, it was wonderful.
yeah,
99% of the, and we were out all the time, every day with the dogs and the kids. And 99% of the people we were out with, they saw us, they put their dogs on the lead, or they had their dog under control. Other than that one time, we didn't have one dog come rushing at us. One dog even paying attention to our dogs. They just kind of looked and went, "Oh, there's a dog there. Coming in. Let's
yeah,
go."
yeah,
It was so lovely because you
yeah,
don't often get that. I mean, I'm Croydon based, obviously, but you
yeah,
don't often get that in Croydon. You get the opposite. You get the dogs running over and things like that. Hence why I avoid going to kind of parks.
yeah. We don't do parks, sadly.
Like, yeah, no, we don't. So you know, there is a positive in that. I think this message, I guess, is getting out there to people. People are more aware of it. It's trying to really pin it down to those who still think it's okay to allow that to happen,
Yeah,
and say, "Come on, where's that respect? Look at what your dog's doing. Look at that body language. And if you can't read that body language, maybe ask for help.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if
And
you're
in
not
that
sure
exact
what your dog's
moment,
saying,
yeah, in that exact moment, assume the worst and just exit the
yeah,
situation. It's better
yeah,
to assume that your dog's not happy in this situation
yeah,
than to just sit and let it play out.
yeah. I mean, I worked with someone the other day who said to me, "What body language should I look out for?"
Good question.
And I thought that's a really, really good question, but it's also quite a difficult question to answer
Yeah.
because even, having come from a rescue background and doing this for a number of years, even up until the day I left, I was still learning about body language and what, it's an ongoing, every day is a school day, when you're
Yeah.
working with dogs. So there's never one thing that I would be able to say to someone, well, look out for this. Because what you don't want to do is for that person to then take it out of
And they
context
just look out for that. That's
and they
it.
just look out.
Yeah.
I had it ages ago. I said to someone, well, yawning can be a sign of stress. And
Yes.
they phoned me
One.
about a week
Yeah.
later and said, Dan, I'm really worried. My dog's yawning. It's stressed. And I said, well, what have you just done with the dog? What's
He's in
happened
bed,
leading
bless
up
it.
to this? And they said, well, we've just got back from a really long walk and it's curled up in bed. And I said, well, it's probably just tired in that instance.
Yeah. Bless them.
Like, because you've also
Yeah.
got to look at the context.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is, we could speak for days about body
Oh gosh.
language.
And yeah, because there is the typical ones, like what you just said, that's such an excellent one. Because I don't think a lot of people that yawning and lip smacking. That
Yeah,
is such a
yeah,
telltale sign of a dog not being happy, but sometimes your dog just might be tired. But there
yeah,
are there are things that are quite bespoke to breeds, and there's also
yeah,
things that will be bespoke to that dog's learned behavior. So a couple of years ago, I think it was about 2 birthdays ago, I decided to make the big mistake and just have everyone over. Had all the family over. Oh my gosh, it was chaotic. There's a lot of us. There's probably about 10 to 15 of us, and that wasn't even all of us in the house. This is when I lived in Mottingham. And I have very clear cut rules when it comes to the children. Don't
yeah,
do this, don't do that. And if you do
yeah,
do this, I always say, so I put responsibility on them. So I say, if my dog is sleeping, things like, just as an example, if my dog is sleeping and you jump on my dog and my dog bites you, who am I going to blame? And they say, us. I say, why am I going to blame you? So because your dog's never bitten before. And we shouldn't have woken the dog up and, let sleeping dogs lie and whatever, whatever. So anyway, so we're at there. So there's very strict rules. And I always have a place of separation if I see my dog
yeah, yeah,
overwhelmed. Now I live, it's just me and my animals. Yeah. So it's a peaceful life that my animals are blessed with. And on this occasion, my dog done something she'd never done before. She walked, there was this tiny little table, like a two-seater dining table. And you've not seen the dog. She's a big dog. Yeah. And she tried to hide under this table. And I thought immediately, she's over, no one was touching her. She was overwhelmed. The
Oh, bless
noise,
her.
the chatter, people moving around is something that she's not been exposed to because it's just me and my peaceful life with my animals.
Yeah,
Immediately, there was not a second that I thought about it. I got all of her stuff. I put her in the kitchen. I closed the baby gate. I put a blanket over the baby gate so no one could see through, or she couldn't see through. And I put the bed in the corner of the room. So, and she just went and she slept and she snored her head off. And no one went in. I didn't allow any kids in there. Adults went in there. Adults are fine. But I didn't allow because I
yeah.
didn't want any kid to just be overexcited around her, to touch
Hmm.
her, because kids are kids.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
kids
can
will be
only
kids.
teach as much as we can teach, but kids are developed, they're work in progress. Yeah, we're all work in progress. But kids, they're
Uh-huh.
learning. They have to be told, they
Yeah,
have to be told off about for certain things, they have to be corrected, they have to be encouraged. Kids are kids, so I'm not going to sit there just because all the kids in my family know that they're not to touch a dog when they're sleeping. That when my dog is that sensitive, she presented very sensitive in that moment. I'm not going to take any risks of a child dropping something, tripping
yeah,
over, whatever. And that's me protecting my dog and the children. Um, but that was a sign that I wouldn't necessarily have told someone to look out for. Watch
no.
out if your dog hides under the table, because that was quite bespoke to her.
Uh-huh.
So it was really key what you said there about you don't want people to just focus on the body language that you mention because
Yeah,
otherwise other things might get missed.
yeah, yeah,
So that was really key. But I guess what owners can do is they can look out for things that their dogs do that are a bit out of character
yeah.
and act on that. So exactly that. My dog hiding under the table, never done it before and never done it since. Completely out of character. What I'm going to do is assume the worst. My dog is exhausted, uncomfortable, unhappy, and put her somewhere.
Yeah.
Even if that wasn't the case, it doesn't hurt her to be separated for a little while and to have a sleep in the corner of the kitchen with the gate
No,
closed.
absolutely. Yeah.
Her. So putting that to outside behavior, if your dog's doing something that you don't necessarily understand, it will never hurt to remove your dog from that situation and analyze it later.
100%.
Analyze it later. So if your dog is doing something where you're confused about, that dog is, huddling towards you, that dog's hiding behind your legs. Let's just assume the worst, take your dog out of that situation and think about it later. Let's not just leave that to develop because
No, yeah,
it will develop in a dog that is nervous or a dog that is acting in self-defense, in what they believe is self-defense, which
yeah,
we call reactivity.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, very, very important lesson that was. I'm happy you brought it up. Um, it also leads on to quite nicely why I'm not an advocate, or why we both are not necessarily advocates for dogs playing with any and every dog. Um, when you've got, I mean, it's a great example what you've just said, and you got people that confidently say, "No, it's your fault because you're not letting your dog play with this dog, or you're not doing this," and it makes your average owner question themselves. Obviously, we're very confident, so it's easier for us to say, "Oh, like." Just get your dog. I don't really like we know what we're talking about. You don't. It's very, very obvious. It's very easy for us to read body language, understand what is going on in that situation. Okay, it's very easy for us to do that. Um, but not everyone can do that. And I guess when you get people like this, that what you ex that you experience with the poodle cross in Dorset, a lot of people will think they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
They're removing their dogs from situations. And that, amongst many reasons, but that for me is one of the main reasons I don't like my dog to engage with other dogs, because 9.9 times out of 10, I'm not going to trust your opinion on what you think is playing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it happens all too often. Oh, she's just playing. It's like they're not playing. They're not playing. And
No,
people get offended when you say it. I've had that before.
yeah,
When people are offended, my dog is playing. They're not playing. Much like what you experienced where your dog was, or someone, you or your dog was bitten twice. That dog wasn't playing.
mm,
And it's not for us, it's not for you, it's not for me, it's not for everyone else to justify that to people, to mollycoddle people, or to cater to what their idea of dog ownership is. just protect your dog. Um, there is the odd dog that I mean, I can only think of one to be honest. There's a dog that lives in my area called Rusty. And that man, the owner of that dog, he's fantastic and he's always been fantastic. It's something that, like with dogs, it's so natural to him. His dogs just adore him. They love him. And in any given situation, he can say, Rusty, come on. And that dog comes on. And the type of engagement that is positive that my dog has with that dog is they do the nose meets. They might run alongside each other. So it's not necessarily chasing each other. None of them do pinning. My dog
No,
doesn't pin.
no,
That dog doesn't pin. It's a behavior that I've never allowed. My dog used to throw her paws, but her paws are very heavy. So she can't do that to other dogs. So I had to
no.
stop that behavior. Um, and then they stop. My dog might have a lay down. She's old, bless her. She might have a lay down. That dog goes and sniffs something else, goes and have a toilet. They might come back to each other. Well, and this is all because me and this man are having a good old chin wag. Or they might go and lay with their owners, and they've never crossed paths. They've never crossed hemispheres. Hemispheres. My dog don't go lay with him, and his dog don't come lay with myself. They just, and it's like everything is very positive. They know the boundaries to stop. When that dog's going toilet, my dog stops, or when my dog lays down, that dog just walks off. But this is all to do with ownership more than the dog. The dogs know their boundaries, and those boundaries have been enforced and corrected and reinforced by their owners. And that's the sort of thing that is like, I think it's actually the one dog. I'm going to be honest. I said a few dogs. It's actually the one dog that my dog is allowed to engage with in lovely
But
birth.
isn't it amazing? Everything you've said
Yeah.
is what we would deem as social within people,
Yeah. Yes. Acceptable within
right?
people.
So like, is it so like
Yeah.
if we met up and went on a course,
Yeah.
I might shake your hand, I might chuck my arm around you because we know each other. Hello, mate. You all right? How you doing? Um, and then we go. We'd sit at the chairs. We'd sit side by side. We might have a natter about the dog training. We might have a little moan about dog world, and then we'd go off and maybe get some lunch during the break. But
Yeah.
at no point while we're walking to the shops would I or you be jumping on you or jumping on me because even though we know each other, it would be deemed as unsocial and really irritating,
It'd be quite annoying.
really annoying. But yet when two dogs do it, people sit there and go, "Oh, look, they're playing."
Just let them get on with it. Let them sort it out
Oh,
themselves.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, no, because if I done that to you and you sorted out that issue yourself, you'd end up in prison because you'd be done for GBH or ABH.
Yeah.
It you shouldn't feel the need to have to sort something out yourself. I just think there's a massive kind of in our human minds, there's a huge difference in what human to human socialization is and dog to dog
Yeah.
socialization is. And actually, they're
Quite
very, very
similar.
similar.
Yeah.
Um, and I think if people can kind of get that in their minds and go, well, actually, that dog that's chasing my dog in play, I don't really see that as social. I wouldn't like someone doing that to me, so I'm not going to allow that to happen to my dog.
Yeah.
Could change so much within the dog world.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is an epic note to end on actually. That phrase, what we could all do. We could all do this small thing to make all of these dog we're a dog nation. We're a country of dog
Yeah, yeah.
lovers. But yet I don't think everyone's acting like it.
No, 100%.
Um but yeah, just something I like to do at the end of these conversations. Where are you based? How do people contact you if they want to contact you? Let us know where your areas are.
So I'm based Croydon and surrounding areas. Um, we try and go out as far as possible, but it is pretty much as long as we can get to it on trains and easily on cars, we'll come out to you. But Croydon, Bromley, kind of Beckenham, Orpington, all of that kind of Lewisham area, will come out to. If you do want to contact us, you can contact us at www.croydondogclub.co.uk or you can drop us an email at croydondogs@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And me and Dan are going to come back soon
We are.
for another chat because Dan is an expert on the dog law. So I'm really excited to have
You're
that
giving everyone high
conversation.
hopes now.
Yeah. Oh, you are though. You've led. You are, and there's something that we can all learn on, and how it actually relates to this side of thing as well. Um, but thank you so much. I will, if you message me your, well, I know your details actually, so don't do that. I will try my hardest to figure out how to put it on the screen so that
Yeah,
people can contact you if they're like, do you know what? I like that guy. He makes sense.
I hope so.
It will
We
happen.
try our best.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. All right. Thank you so much for coming
Cool.
here today, and I can't wait to catch up again.
Wicked. Right
See
back at
you.
you.
Thank you.
See you later, mate.
Bye.
Bye.